Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi accompanied his Tunisian counterpart Kais Saied to Cairo International Airport, and on his social media account, the president said that he was keen on accompanying the Tunisian president after a visit that reflected the depth and strength of the relations between the two brotherly countries. On his three-day official visit, the Tunisian president discussed with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi a variety of topics and also carried out a number of activities in order to shed more light on the importance of this visit. We're very much honored to have with us Dr. Hassan Wagih, Professor of International Negotiations, with us now on the phone. Good morning to you, Dr. Hassan.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir. Now, sir, how do you weigh or view the importance of the visit by the Tunisian president to Egypt now? What about the timing?
Yeah, the timing is very important, and I think Dr. or Professor Saeed, who really is a professor of law and is a very important figure when it comes to popularity in the Arab world. And he is in a neighboring country. And I think that he and other Arab leaders share him the same stance of supporting Egypt in this particular time where Egypt water sources are being threatened.
Yes. Tunisia is an Arab member of the Security Council. How do you think that this can help Egypt and also other Arab countries in supporting their causes?
Actually, of course, Tunisia is very important because even it is in our it is a neighbor, it is an Arab country, and it acts its role in the international affairs also now in the UN Security Council. And I think it's important anyway from all these perspectives.
Both presidents, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and President Kais Saied, held talks where they discussed a number of regional issues of mutual concern. And following their talks, they also held a press conference. And during that press conference, the Tunisian president affirmed that Egypt is entitled to its fair share in the waters of the Nile. How can Egypt benefit from such support, Dr. Hassan?
I think Egypt can benefit from this support as well as from the support of others by trying to disseminate the facts about the conflict, because actually there are a lot of misinformation and disinformation, especially from our brothers in Ethiopia. And yes, we will say our brothers, because our brothers and sisters, of course. We wanted to help. We wanted to play win-win game. We wanted to, and we have already demonstrated that in the last 10 years of negotiating with them. And there was a lot of tolerance, a lot of containment. And the problem is that they are playing the obstinate, the zero-sum player in the negotiation. And I think this has to come to an end. But Egypt really wants to play the win-win. And I think what the Professor Saeed, what President Saeed, and what other leaders, fair-minded leaders, we need fair-minded people to listen and to intervene, because we don't want to go to much more escalation. Because escalation and conflict and the zero-sum game proved to be a loss for the entire world. And when it comes to the continent of Africa, Egypt is so keen for all countries in Africa. President Sisi, when he was the chair of the African Union, he paid a great deal of effort to disseminate this win-win approach. And I think having the President Kais Saied with us as an African country who knew how Egypt exerted all that effort for a long period of time. And when he comes today to stand next to us, is a very important thing to tell how our Africans in the north and also in the south really are understanding of the Egyptian position, and they share support. And when they support, they are not only supporting one side over the other, they are trying to support stability, peace, win-win. I think that from cooperation, all the countries can get benefits. And I hope the international powers all over the world would listen to this wise voice from Cairo and from the president, because actually we don't need more escalation. We want the international community to come to help de-escalating, because this is the essence of the Egyptian civilization, the Egyptian spirit, and the Egyptian orientation for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Wagih, you touched upon several important issues. You spoke about wise leaders, how we need wise leaders, achieving a win-win situation. Of course, they all come in the context since you are a professor of international negotiations. But also, this brings me to ask you about the common stance between Egypt and Tunisia, because they have common stance in so many other issues, including the Libyan issue, and they express that. How can this push forward the peaceful Libyan path? How can Egypt and Tunisia, as African countries, North African countries, regional powers, having that common stance, how can, especially that they are both bordering Libya, how can they achieve peace and stability in Libya?
Yeah, this is a very good point. I think that when it comes to commonalities and common ground between Egypt and Tunisia in particular, maybe not many people know that in both Egypt and Tunisia have two universities, Al-Azhar University and the Zaytuna University, and they are the oldest in the human history. So I think this is very significant. You know, out of these two universities came great figures like Ibn Khaldun came from Zaytuna, and the whole world know the name, know the world Ibn Khaldun. President Reagan once was quoting Ibn Khaldun in his speeches. So I think Ibn Khaldun and so many others like him came out of this place, came from Tunis, lived in Egypt, and as if the two countries are the same. So this is why President Said did like very much to go and meet with the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, and you know the international level that Al-Azhar possess, and the reputation Al-Azhar possess. Also, you know that there was a Grand Imam, his name Al-Khidr Hussein, and he was the first. He was, you know, he was Imam number 39, and he was from Tunisia. So I think that this would tell you a very important sign and very important communication background, common background in the communication process between the very near to each other, the two countries, Tunisia and Egypt. They are in Africa, and they are having extremely important and specific common ground among them. So I think they can raise their voice for the sake of the entire continent and for the entire world.
Dr. Wagih, as you mentioned, the Egyptian-Tunisian relations extend from the political relations to the economic and cultural as well. And you mentioned now what you have just told us about the oldest universities in history, what they have in common in culture. During the visit, both presidents announced 2021-2022 as the year of Egyptian-Tunisian culture. and that even made the Ministry of Culture, the Egyptian Ministry of Culture, put an agenda for the activities of the year, and also the visit by the Tunisian president to Al-Azhar and meeting with Sheikh Al-Tayyib, attending a performance in the Cairo Opera House, visiting the Cathedral of the Christ birth in the new administrative capital, visiting the Museum of Egyptian Civilization, visiting Amr ibn al-As Mosque, visiting the Citadel. All this culminates in very significant Egyptian-Tunisian cultural ties. How do you see that?
I would like, thank you very much for this point, but I would like to take the concept of culture a step from that too. Yes, in your point, you made a very rich statement about how the cultural ties are there and how it is being enhanced, and it will be enhanced on the several fronts. But I would like to stop here and to scrutinize on the term culture. You know that the problem in this world is that when we deal with files, we neglect the term culture. Like in any file of any crisis in the world, and when I teach that, I ask all the people who are listening to concentrate on three components: how to negotiate with others in a win-win, how to consider the law, and how to go deeper into the culture. Again, when we are talking about two countries like Egypt and Tunisia, it's not only they are enhancing cultural ties are there, but I think that in their public diplomacy that is very needed these days is that when it comes to the African, especially the Ethiopian, Egyptian culture, I think that we have worked much on the legal level, and many people of legal background and legal expertise said whatever they said. And negotiation, yes, we negotiated for 10 years now. But what is missing? I think what is missing is to go deeper through public diplomacy into the term culture, because there are misconceptions. There are misconceptions about each other, and the time has come. It's too late, I know, but the time has come that the two countries and any power in the world who really care about understanding that culture is extremely important concept, and the cross-cultural communication is fraught with problems, is fraught with misconceptions. I think that the time has come for us, for this file and the other files, by the way, to go deep into the term culture, deconstruct any sort of misperception, because I mean that there is a propaganda machine. It's unbelievable propaganda machine is taking place by many Ethiopians, unfortunately, with many brothers. I would say brothers, as the president said, they are our brothers. We care about them. We don't retaliate with the same kind of propaganda machine. No, we'd like to stop this propaganda machine. We'd like to deconstruct the misconception that really accumulated through history. Nobody intervened in that. And I think that there are mobilization and public diplomacy over there, which really needs to be addressed, because they throw it to the entire world. I would not say bad intentions all the time. Sometimes people, according to the accumulation of hate, hatred, historical events, I mean that Egypt has already gone through 2 revolutions, and we know that it's important now that we go for a cultural revolution. A revolution, culture is not only to enhance ties between only 2 countries, but to understand the term and understand the cross-cultural communication problem and to try to deal with them. As I've said, we have 3 components: the cultural, the negotiation, and the legal. In any file,
yes,
we've made our efforts, we exerted our efforts in 2 of them. The term culture is the time for us now throughout the world to dispel misperception, to dispel the elements that really make the escalation go viral instead of de-escalation.
Yes.
We need de-escalation, and we need the whole world to listen to that.
Yes. My final question to you, Dr. Wagih, is about one other important component in the Egyptian-Tunisian relations, the economic and trade relations between Egypt and Tunisia. How do you see this, and how do you see the keenness by both countries to enhance and to further boost their economic and trade ties?
Actually, this is extremely important because the two presidents work for the welfare of their people. And I think that we need a lot of development. The two peoples need a great deal of development. Egypt needs a very good, achieved a lot now when it comes to economy, given the situation where the whole world is having corona. And the only two countries in the whole world, Egypt and I can't remember what is the other country, maybe China, who really achieved the growth in the economic domain. So I think that it is important for Tunisia and for Egypt to enhance this economic ties, because it would pour its fruits to the entire people of Tunis and the entire people of Egypt.
Yes. Dr. Hassan Wagih, Professor of International Negotiations, I'd like to thank you very much for being with us in this morning's edition of The Breakfast Show. Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, a short break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.